Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to lecture number 13, Report Writing 1. Today we will discuss about the short reports which are very important in your career, short and informal reports. As you grow in your career, your writing skills, especially for the short and informal reports, become very crucial. They honestly, they start working like your CV within the company and outside, because actually you are usually the only person who is responsible for producing such reports. We call them informal not because you write them casual, you write them very careful, but the informal means the variety of situations and the contents that the report has to deal with. For example, you attend a meeting and you are supposed to write minutes of meeting for that report. You are involved in a project, and then you are being asked to provide a progress report for the last few weeks. You might visit for some firm or a trip, and then you have to provide a prep report. Or there might be a new idea for which you have to provide a feasibility study. So overall, for writing reports, the learning objectives are that you should be able to clearly identify the difference between the formal, well researched reports and the short, informal reports, which is the topic of this lecture. And in the end, you will be able to write different type of reports. So writing one report doesn't mean that you are well versed with the other. So will go through some examples in which we will go through how to write an incident report, what is important to write an incident report, what's important to write in an investigation report, what about the trip reports, the progress reports, the lab reports or experimental reports, and the feasibility reports. So in the next step, you should be able to appropriately adjust the matter in either of these formats. For example, an incident report, you can write an email for the incident report, a letter, or a memo. For example, an investigation report, if needed, you might be using an email to report the investigation, a letter format, or a memo. We will see which is appropriate for these. So the communication channel is important, and it all depends upon the audience where you have to submit the report. And of course, the writing a report means you should be able to write the proper purpose, the persons involved. You should be able to state clearly when and where the activity occurred. It also needs your skill to discuss the matter with accurate dates, time, calculations, and problems encountered. And whatever you have provided the information, you have to design it in a better way, so that whatever you have provided, by using proper headings, some boldface, underlining, itemization, and graphics, you make it very well easily followed, well written matter and easy to follow. So these are important things, that even you provide a very good matter, but they should be easily followed. And we have to select an appropriate method of organization to provide. For example, you may choose chronological method, according to the importance or the comparison or the problem solution. So the organization, all the methods should be well organized. And based on your findings, you have to provide a conclusion, and based on the conclusion, and you also be able to provide a recommendation, and they all be customized according to the report that you are writing. And in the end, and the most important thing, from the very beginning, you should be able to know your audience. Because if, for example, you have written the report with the mind that very high tech people are going to study about that report, and the purpose may be to present it to a low tech audience, so all your efforts may be lost. So be careful from the very beginning that you should recognize your audience level of understanding, and then you start writing it. You should also know that whether your audience may be multiple or internal or external, and then finally you should be able to write it appropriately. So the contents will go like this. We will study about what the report is, the unique aspects of the report, different types of reports, the criteria for the report writing. There are 4 criteria that we have to be very careful about. We should organize it well, we should develop the contents well, the audience, we just mentioned the audience, and the style. So these are the 4. If these 4 things are properly addressed, so you will be able to write a very good report. So what is a report? Report is very simple but very difficult. It's simple word but difficult to define because it has different lengths, and the report may come into different levels of formality, and they serve sometimes the overlapping purposes and can be conveyed to audience in a different via different communication channels. But the report will satisfy one or all of the following, which is, for example, the report may be supplying a record of work accomplished, what have been done. It may record or clarify some complex information for the future reference, or it may just present information to a large number of people with different skill sets. It may record whatever the problems encountered. It may document the schedules, timetables, milestones. It may also recommend, it's like a recommendation report about some future action. It may document a current status, for example, a progress report, or it may record procedures, for example, the SOPs. So usually sometimes people got confused about the reports. Sometimes they say it looks like a memo or it looks like a letter. Basically, reports, they come in all shapes and sizes, and different companies, this is very important to note, different companies define the word report differently. For example, for one company, a report could be consisting of an informal half-page email or a page-long memo or a 3-page letter. And for some other companies, they may define it like a 30-page report or a 100-page annual report. For example, but some kind of report, for few companies, some kinds of reports use even the same terms. For example, same terms they use. For example, a kind of a financial statement they use from different banks. You may have different financial statements, but the terms will be similar, the meaning will be similar. Similarly, the software release notes from the software company. So the reports are so many different styles, and every report has its own purpose. So there are some unique aspects of the report. Let's see what are they. The reports differ in the following ways. Either the length will vary or the scope. For example, the short reports, that is the subject of today's, they may be limited to 1 to 5 pages, and they have limited scope and focused on maybe one topic. While the long reports, they are more than 5 pages, maybe 30 or plus or 200 pages, and they focus on topics with a large scope. The scope is larger. So this is one aspect in which the reports differ, the length and the scope. Then the formality. The formality, it may be informal. Informal means short reports. You write them in terms of letters, memos, or emails. Okay, and the contents may vary, the headings may vary. But for the formal reports, they are long reports, and they have something called standard components. This is important. The formal reports, they have standard components. For example, they will have a title page, they will have a table of contents, you see, They will be having a list of illustrations, there will be an abstract, appendices, and the proper references. Okay, so this is another way in which the reports differ in terms of formality, either informal and formal. Formal requires standard components, while informals have no specific headings, they just serve the purpose. Then the audience. If your audience is internal, for example your colleagues, supervisors, subordinates within the company, okay, so this is one type of audience. Or your audience can be external, maybe your vendors, your clients, your customers, or the company that you are providing services. Now the purpose. The report has three main. Any report can have either of these three purposes. Either it can be number one, informational only reports. They just they just discuss about the factual data. They just answer, here is what happened. That's it. Then there is another type of the purpose, which is analytical. Analytical will provide the information and also draw the conclusion. So it is basically you are answering two things. Here is what happened and why this occurred. The third purpose can be persuasive. In persuasive, you combine all the three things. You convey the information, you draw the conclusion, and you also use persuasion to justify the recommended follow-up action. For example, here is what happened, why this occurred, and what you should do next. So this is like a three-step process. In the first step, you just provide the information, okay, information. Then you add information to with the information you put some analysis, and after that you also add some kind of recommendation. You also add some conclusion, right? So this is a three-step. These are the three main purposes that our report can serve. And then report can be either an email report written to internal or external audience. It can be short and informal. The second is the memo reports are written to internal audience only, and usually they are short and informal. The letter reports are sent to external audience, and this can be both long and short, formal or informal, depending upon the topic and audience. And it may be the electronic report, for example, which may be accessed from the company's website. For example, an annual report for Karachi Electric for 2018, and this is another annual report of GE for 2019, which you can access through the. And in these reports, the detailed company profile and activities are listed. There are plenty of these. So different type of report. Many reports fall into the following categories, and following are the most common of the, and that's why we will go through it. So the first one will be the incident report. An incident report, in terms of, this is an example of incident report in terms of an email. It was a security breach, and here the purpose, you have to mention initially the purpose of the report, the results of the security breach that happened, and possible solutions to the breach, and then finally some kind of recommendations, and then your name. So incident report will all talk about the event and the facts and some kind of your recommendations, okay, the findings, whatever it is, okay. Then comes the second one is investigation report. For example, here is an example of investigation report in letter format for the high-tech level. So you fulfill the format of the letter, okay, the address, the date, the address, and then the subject. So this is an investigation report on the Frog Creek. Resume. So this is an investigation report on the Frog Creek wastewater pollution, and what happened was on September 7, 2012, teachers at the school reported over a 5-day period from September 2 to 6, approximately 20 students complained of nausea, and on the 5th day they called 911, and what happened was the paramedics treated the children's illness, suggesting that the problems might be due to the airborne pollutants, and after that they went for the investigate the causes of this problem, and the report submitted and so on. So in this manner, you actually, there was some kind of let's say there was an event or accident, and then there was some kind of follow up and in investigations that you have to report and provide the proper info about that thing. What are the basically investigation reports discuss about the event and the findings, and trying to find out the reason why that happened. Sort of trip report. For example, this is a trip report in memo format. So since this is in a memo format, so you have to use a proper memo format. For example, the date, to, from, the subject is a trip report about Unicorn Western Conference on electronic training, and then you provide properly try to use good headings as in a memo required. The introduction, the discussion, and within the introduction you specify the purpose of the meeting. On Tuesday, February 23rd, 2012, I attended the Union West Conference on electronic training held in Ruidoso, New Mexico. My goal was to acquire hands-on. You tell the whole purpose of the meeting, and to learn about the new techniques for the electronic training, including the online discussion groups, e-based tutorials, internet discussion, video conferencing, lecture formats, very suitable for these days. And then you provide the conference participants who were there, my co-workers, Bill and Ina also attended the conference. And then coming to the, so you are done with the introduction, providing the purpose and the audience or the persons who were involved. Okay, next is the discussion. You discuss about the presentations, okay, at the conference, and you say Gina, Bill, and I attended the following sessions. Which sessions you have? So there are on this page we can see 3 sessions. Number 1 was the online discussion groups. The next session was e-based tutorials. The third one was the internet instructions. And for example, in this Dr. Randy led his around hour-long presentation. Both are professors at the University of Nevada, and their workshop focused on the course development and online instructional methodology. So this is the way you actually talk about some kind of your trip. Of course, this is about a trip, so you provide information about the trip, who was involved in it, and further info about the trip and information that you collected. And then comes the fourth one is about the progress report. For example, this is a progress report in memo format. So because of memo format, you have to clearly follow the format of memo. To, from, date, subject. This is the first quarterly report about the project AT construction, and here's the purpose of the report. Here's the work accomplished. The purpose of the report is basically you are writing this report in response to some requests. So in response to your December 2011 request, following is our first quarterly report on project AT construction, downtown airport, and department 93 is in the startup phase of our company's 2012 build plans for the downtown airport and surroundings. And you clearly mentioned these are these construction plans include the following: airport construction, terminals and runways and others, site enhancements, northwest, southeast, collecting ponds, landscape berms, and signage. Work accomplished in this first quarter, we have completed the following. And then you mention the work which is being done. For example, subcontractors and all this stuff. Subcontractors, Toby, Summer, project manager, and Karen worked with our primary contractors Apex, and in the final this work was completed January 12. Okay, and the permits, they one site visitations and so on, they accomplished the task by 20. So there are plenty of sample screening was completed. So you see, you can notice that, and also the materials arrived on by February 8. And then you, since this is a progress report, so it is good that you mention, you show the project status in terms of a Gantt chart. For example, here they stick the subcontractors, it's being done, the permits are done, the core samples, shipments, EPA approval, this whole bunch is being done at what. So this is the, and this is the remaining work in remaining. So this is a better way to show clearly the progress report. This is the example of the progress report. And then we have the lab or test reports, for example, again in a memo format. You provide the introduction, why it is you are doing it, the apparatus, the discussions, the procedure that you follow, and the results that you accomplished, and finally the recommendations are very important. We will go through this in the next video. The feasibility and recommendation reports, the feasibility report in the memo format again. Okay, and the purpose of the report comes on the beginning, the technology problems, the vendor. Since this is a feasibility or recommendation report, so let's do it. The feasibility is strictly for the technology purchase. So the IT department, they are looking for to purchase few for the department. The purpose of this report is to study this technology, which technology will best meet your communication needs and the budget. After analyzing the feasibility of the various technologies, we will recommend the most effective technology options. So these are the technology problems that they discuss. For example, according to your memo dated so and so, your department needs new communication technology, and your department has hired the 3 new employees. The headcount goes to 10, and currently you have only 5 laptops, and so on. The vendors that we contacted are the Electech and Tech on the Go and the mobile communication. These are the, you see how precisely they are providing the information, the company name, the contact person, and its email. Company name, contact person, and its email. And the criteria for you also define some kind of criteria for the vendors, and then you evaluate all of this. So if you see here, let me clear this slide. Yeah, so if you see the following table, okay, so the following table comprises of 3 vendors searched on the scale of 1 to 3, 3 representing the highest score. So you can generate this is the analysis in a table format that you might generate yourself. So this is the company number 1, this is TOG, second company, the third company Mobile, and they have evaluated in terms of when you are going to buy an IT product, what kind of maintenance they are providing, personal and warranties, and the cost. So Electra is good with 3, is scoring 3, TOG is 2, Mobile is 3, personal 3, 3, warranties, Electra is the best one, and TOG and Mobile warranty are not that good. The cost of this is better than the TOG and the Mobile. So the score here. And finally, since this is a feasibility report, this is very important. So summary of the findings are: we cannot purchase the number of laptops and printers you have requested because of budget, and all 3 vendors have the technology you require. However, TOG and Mobile don't meet the criteria, and particularly these companies don't provide either the maintenance packages, warranties. So the recommended, so this is the summary. You put the summary separately, and then you recommend. This is the one thing that you say, okay, I am with this thing. So the recommendation is: given the combination of the cost, maintenance packages, warranty, services, you see Electech is our best choice. So we suggest the following options for the printer and so on. So this is a feasibility report in which you explore all the purpose, the technology, the vendors, the criteria that you have to evaluate and satisfy, and based on the criteria you can develop your own analysis table, and based on the analysis table you can write about the summary, you can write about the recommendation, so that your boss will know what to do next. This is the value, this is how you add value to the company, by answering very clear uh, answers. So the criteria for writing reports, they, since there are so many different type of reports, but there are some unique requirements in every type of report, that they should have a proper organization. They should be the content should be well developed, okay, and the audience should be properly addressed. You should know who you are writing for, and the style should be very good, appropriate, precise, clear, no vague. So the first thing is organization. So every report should contain 5 organizational features. The first one is the identification lines. What does it mean? It means identify the date on which your report is written, the name of people to whom you are writing, and from whom the report is being sent, and the subject of the report. So this is identification, right? For example, you put the date, to, from, and the subject. This is identification. Number 1, you are done with this. Second, headings and talking headings. It's important to you should improve the page layout. For example, by heading like conclusion, introduction, background information, problems with the employer, you clearly tell, okay, what will be the contents. But the talking headings, like for example, human resources committee review 2012 benefits packages, it's more informative and more clear about the content. So it is better that you improve the layout, page layout, and make the content accessible. Then introduction. Now introduction is about the purpose statement, why you are writing that one, the persons involved in that activity, and the dates. For example, here this is the report objective, the conference dates, and the committee members. I attended the Southwest Regional Conference on the Workplace Communication in the Fort Worth, Texas, and to learn more about how our company. So you clearly provide the purpose why you attended that one, when that thing happened or the activity happened, and who were the committee members. So this is an example of introduction. Discussion include the detailed development. This is very important. It may include your activities or the problems that you encountered, and the cost of the equipment, the warranty information if you are purchasing something, detailed development. And you have to so this is a detailed development of the contents, which will be customized according to the reports. And then finally the conclusion and the recommendations. You sum up, you relate what you have learned, okay, and then state about the activity, about your decision. For example, a conclusion, and it is good that you should use some kind of headings in the conclusion. For example, here in the conclusion it is written benefits of the conference, so you highlighted, okay, these are the benefits. The conference was beneficial. Not only did it teach me how to improve my technical communication, but also it provided me context for technical communication training. So you got some context as well. Now the proposed activity, another one, proposed next course of action to ensure that all employees benefit from the knowledge I acquired. I recommend hiring a consultant to provide the technical communication training. And you already have some context from here. Okay, so this is important that we use some proper headings in the conclusion and recommendation. They help the company. Next, we have to develop our ideas. Development is very important, and development is easy if you try to answer these 5 questions: who, when, why, where, what. For example, the questions can be who did you meet, who did you meet or contact, who was your legend, who was involved in the accident, who was your technical. So it's like identifying people, all the people who are involved in that thing. Who, answering who. Then when did the document activities occur, so date of travel, the milestone. So it's always good that you start being a good professional, you start taking some notes of whatever is happening to around you. Either keep it handwritten or digital, but it is important that you keep track and record of the things happening. Why are you writing the report? This is why. And why were you involved in the activity? Okay. Rational justification, objectives. So this you have. The next is to answer why. And then where did the activity take place, and what were the steps in the procedure, conclusion reached. So these who, when, why, where, what, make questions for yourself and try to answer them. This will help you to develop your contents, your ideas. And the next thing is quantify your information. Don't be vague or imprecise. This is not good. If you are imprecise, nobody will like this thing. For example, here is an example. Installation of machinery is needed. Installation of machinery. Which machinery? I don't know. Is needed to replace a piece of equipment. Which equipment? I don't know. Then satisfactory by an equipment engineering review. So which machine are we purchasing? Here it's not very clear. Which piece of equipment will it replace? Not very clear. Why is the equipment unsatisfactory? Is it too old, too expensive, too slow? What is the reason that it is unsatisfactory? And when does it need to be replaced? There is no date. Where does it need to be installed? Why is the installation important? So a department supervisor will not be happy with the preceding report. Instead, supervisors need information in quantified manner, clear manner. For example, here, this one. Okay, after improving and removing the impreciseness, putting the information clearly, all the details. The exposure table, they mentioned which one. The exposure table needs to be installed by September 10, 2012, so that we can manufacture printed wiring products with fine line paths and spacing down to 0.0005 inches. The table will replace the outdated printer in the department 76. Failure to install the table will slow the production schedule by 27%. So this is a very precise and a good argumental style of putting the information. So quantify what information you have in a proper way, and don't try to be vague, or of course this will require some time from you, but this is a 5-minute work which will waste your whole day, 1, 2 or 3, and many people will not be happy. Audience again. Now the audience is very important. Can be your internal or external, high tech or low tech, layman, or it may be multiple readers. So before you write your report, you have to determine who will read your text, and decide if the terminology needs to be defined and what tone you should use. This is important. For example, audience. So this is very important to understand who your audience are. For example, if your immediate supervisor who is high tech, or if the CEO which is low tech, and you have to also put the things in a proper way. That, for example, cash inflow, with the in parentheses you mention the what does it mean by CIA very clearly. Style should be concise, and we should use the highlighting techniques. The style includes the conciseness and highlighting techniques. And for example, instead of writing take into consideration, just write consider, and instead of writing at this present time, just write now. Now for example here, so the information should be added properly. Now here the information is too much, but try to read. Let's do it as an example, that Johnson country is expected to add this number persons to its 1980 population of this number by the year 2012. So we are talking about 1980, okay, and then 2012, and the population, and that population jump above would be accompanied by a year nearly doubling 96925 households the country had in 1980. So the country had 96925 households in 1980. The addition of 131,026 jobs also is forecast for the Johnson country by 2012, more than doubling its employment and so on. So there are some paragraphs in which the numbers are given and the relationship is provided there. If it is provided in this way, it is much better and concise, understandable. So the population in 1980 was actually 270. Okay, makes sense. And then added 157,605 people, it will be 427,874 in 2012. So if you calculate the growth rate, how much it will be. So if you divide, for example, so you have to calculate percentage change here, and then you can add and generate. For example, if you divide 157,605 divided by the population 270,269, you end up with and multiply by 100, you end up with 58.3% that you have provided here. So this way, instead of this whole sentence, if you replace it by this one, it is understandable in a much better way. So style should be very concise and using highlighting techniques, and also using the graphs and the tables to make the things easier to understand. So this is the end of this lecture. In next lecture we will go in detail about the different type of short and informal reports. Thank you.